Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mystic Musings. We are back, as always, same time, same place on a Tuesday. And I am Marelise Basson, and I'm joined by Sean Caudry. Hello, Sean.
Everybody, Marilisa, always an absolute pleasure to see you. And I
Pleasure.
do not, Scott, we've got Scott behind the scenes there, and I never want to forget the driver behind the scenes of the engine room. And thank you so much, Scott, for your contributions behind the scenes.
Absolutely. This would not happen without him.
Yeah.
Anyways, on that high note, Sean and I are both immersing ourselves into AI and doing a lot of research on AI at the moment. So I'm kind of looking
Mm,
at it very much from a cyber security perspective and sort of AI and the future of cybersecurity. Sean is more looking into AI and its capabilities and what this is going to mean for the workplace and in terms of roles and jobs in the next 4 to 5 to 6 years time. So
mm.
we are going to riff a little bit on that today. We want to sort of share our thoughts and what's emerging for us, which is very exciting. So I think we want to sort of look at well-being, and we want to sort of look at well-being with a bit of a twist, you know. So let's put this a little bit more into the context of AI, and what is AI going to do? Let's kind of look a little bit into the future. If we had a crystal ball, what do we think is going to do? And how is that going to change the way we look at well-being, especially in work, you know, and in terms of how we actually do our work and all those beautiful things. So, Sean, let's
Mm,
start
mm.
off with you
Yeah.
sharing just a little bit of your research and what you're looking into, and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Marty. So appreciate it. And we really are, we repeatedly say every time we jump on these calls how we're in this absolutely, kind of unpredictable change period. And so I've become very interested, not just from a work perspective, because I've been noticing and watching my own process over the last, let's say, years, and then particularly over the last couple of months, and quite frankly, just feeling this absolute exhaustion. And I've been doing some beautiful, deep personal work, to really drop programs and etc. And really see and the work that I've been doing has been very much to move into a place of ease and freedom from a soul perspective. And I believe fundamentally that there is a different way to live, a way to live in ease and freedom, effortlessness. And that is
Yes.
completely counterintuitive to anything that we are experiencing and seeing right now. And I believe it's so deep in my core. And so I've been going through my own process, and I was just saying to Marilise they were jumping on the call this morning, and I was saying to her, she's like, how's your week? I said, actually, the last couple of weeks I've really slowed down. I've just taken my foot off the pedal, and I haven't been able to really, action things at a pace or even had the enthusiasm to do so. And I've just let it be and trusting the process, because I believe, again, that ease and freedom is the way to go. And so, the personal growth and elements that I'm doing around that have really revealed a sense of freedom. I am still processing and integrating everything that's transpired. And so that will certainly come into conversations at a later date, just not at the moment. And so this and during this time I've immersed myself in jumping into deeper levels of understanding about AI, where it's going, the opportunities it presents. I'm not a person who believes in fear-based. We have lived in fear-based living for all of our lives, in fact. And so the information that I share is not designed to be fear-based, even though it can to the psyche feel fearful. And but more just to understand what potentially could emerge in the future. And Marilisa, you used the word emerge so beautifully, and this really sums up the new way we're going to have to live. Is this, I'm going to call it quantum emergence, for lack of a better word. And we will come into a period now, I believe, based on what I'm kind of researching, and I'll share a little bit about that, just a very high level where I'm at, is that we will, as humanity starts splitting off over the next few years, and I believe over probably the next 20 to 30 years, there'll be this process where humanity starts to split off into, let's call it pods. pods that are completely immersed in the digital world, that are completely immersed in digitization, that are happy to have computer chips in their brains and all over the place, and just digital is just the whole way and nature, and very, I want to say, for me personally, that would be like hell on earth, very disconnected, discombobulated, disenfranchised, and disempowering, as people will end up handing their power over external things like computer chips in their brains as a source of power. Then we'll have those who are hybrids. You know, you immersing in the digital world. I'd probably say I'm a bit of a hybrid at the moment, but you still fundamentally, home to your soul and spirit, and have this way of going between the worlds of and digital and traditional human, let's call it. But I think that's going to be an interesting path to travel. And then I believe you'll have the pod that kind of goes completely natural, gets off technology, and is living, as we know, as traditional humans. Regardless, there is going to become a deeper and deeper need for people to fundamentally be in the unknown, be in the emergent way of life and living for the next 20 to 30 years as we move through this huge, huge transition. Now, some of this I was listening to a YouTube video by I know Bashar. Some of you might know Bashar, but it's actually the channel, and I cannot remember his name. So apologies for that. But he was just actually sharing, the insights and information that were coming through from Bashar, which is as a channel. And then just, as I say, immersing into this world of AI, and the next 6 years with these exponential. I've spoken around some of these technologies and the convergence of what we know to be 5 or 6 major technologies converging in once, and now coming into, from early adoption into starting to move into the network effect. And from the network effect, that means that the bigger networks are now adopting it. You go into mass adoption. So this is all about to happen simultaneously. And when that starts to happen, like it did with the internet, it takes fire. It's like fire just ripping through. And when fire rips through, it's a great analogy because it literally decimates what you know. When a fire truly catches the wind and the rage, and it's in full force, it literally will decimate what you know to be true for you. And I believe the next 6 to 10 years and we are entering it. We're not at the beginning, and I caution um, people who are sitting on the sidelines and not in some way, shape, or form participating in understanding one or two of the trends. Don't go for all of them, but you have got to get involved in understanding some of these trends so that you are not like literally just decimated in the fires. I mean, I'm hearing all over the place how people are being laid off and that kind of stuff. That is because we do not even know what jobs will be available in 6 years' time. So even universities and that kind of stuff, yes, you're getting all these new data scientists, quants, all of that kind of stuff, but no one actually knows how the world is going to now be reshaped because of the nature of these technologies. And like I say, I add in the idea of consciousness and the idea of the whole wealth transfer as additional trends that are going to sweep through humanity. So where does this leave me as I kind of consolidate this information? And again, I dropped into one of the YouTube videos, a guy by the name of Raoul Paul, well worth listening to. And he was just sharing and literally doing live, like he was literally doing live, demonstrating some of the capabilities of AI. And he took a document, an interview that had been transcribed. I don't even think it wasn't an interview. It was some kind of meeting that he transcribed, and he transcribed it live, popped it into AI, and AI literally turned it into a podcast with 2 people speaking about this topic. Highly intelligent conversation. And the generative AI is around the ability of AI. It's not predictive AI, which we are a little bit familiar with, and most of us are kind of engaging with predictive AI. Generative AI has the ability to create from the inputs of the information giving. It has the ability to create the solution. I want you to really take that in. Generative AI has the ability to create a solution. just like human beings have the ability to create solutions, except AI, it popped out that podcast in all of 1 minute. How long does it take for us to pop a podcast out and prepare? Humans have got to start understanding a little bit about AI and simply have to start stepping into a world that is completely unknown and foreign. So that leads us into conversations, for example, like what does well-being look like in the future? Because your traditional models of well-being, your traditional models even of change and transformation, and I can show you even a lot of kind of what I'm seeing being still brought out in the context of change and transformation, and that's my game, that's my business. Everything is going to have to up level, and so I and myself and Mara-Lise, we have these conversations about quantum well-being, quantum models of change. Because one of the things, let's say, if you're going in the hybrid or the more sort of, let's say, traditional human form, and one of the major trends that I've been discussing, and I want to tie this back to my opening conversation about the work that I'm doing, myself personally to discover my soul and the freedom and ease that my soul resides in, and quite frankly, the giant fucking enormous powerful soul that I am. This for me is the most fucking important work I can be doing right now. I've said it before, truly learning how to create, truly knowing your soul and what your soul is capable is for me going to be one of the most important skill sets that you can invest in and that you can discover for yourself. Because if your soul is truly powerful and we are truly powerful creators, this right now is going to become essential that we tap into and hone into. And so I tie that back because for me, the answer to moving forward is going to emerge through the essence of my soul and what I'm able to tap into and then what I'm able to powerfully create. It's not going to emerge through my traditional faculties as a human being. So that's where I'm at. And Mara-Lise, let's hand that over
You
to
know,
you,
I
that packet of information.
I so love that, and I just love how passionately you speak about this, Sean. I think for me, this is where you come alive, and this is like
Mm,
this is your soul lighting up, and
mm,
this is really truly your passion and your love. And so, for me, and I want our viewers to see that and to feel that, because I genuinely, think you are the embodiment of you know loving what you do, living
mm,
what you do, and really, with that greater purpose. And really, really stepping into the unknown, really making yourself so freaking uncomfortable, completely pulling the rug out underneath,
mm,
and completely being prepared to completely like decimate,
mm.
everything in that fire that you talk about. And so you can't really like talk about this stuff if you haven't lived and breathed it. So
Uh,
you are a true embodiment, and I just want to
mm,
recognize that, and I want to presence that, because I think that's so super super important in today's living. Because I think where we are going is that we are in a, let's call it, a knowledge industry. And so people are beginning to build digital businesses, online businesses, based on their knowledge and based on their life experience, based on what they know, what they've experienced, their curriculums. And so I mean, I'm literally just, and so I have been sort of like resisting AI a little bit, and I have been sort of more and more through my cybersecurity work. I've been sort of having to immerse myself in AI and understanding it from a threat perspective, sort of a digital threats and cybersecurity threat perspective. So for me, it's been really interesting to kind of dip my toe in, and sort of like I'm now kind of surrendering. So much so that on Monday morning I said, okay, I'm writing my book now, my second book. I'm interested what ChatGPT has to say, right? So I'm like really leaning into co-creating my solution with ChatGPT. And within 10 minutes, I was absolutely mind blown with the insights it's provided to really jog my creative juices and to really help me connect the dots and to give me that perspective that on my own I wouldn't be able to necessarily come up with, or it would take me months it spit it out in a minute. Like you say, the podcast was
Mm,
spit out in a minute, right? So it's really a case of, I think there's a misconception that, it's inauthentic, it's plagiarism, it's not, it's like cheating. And at the end of the day, it's like people who are not going to start embracing this, and as you say, you don't have to know about everything, but at least find out about a couple of things, in terms of
mm,
moving yourself forwards into that sort of next phase. I love the quantum well-being concept. I really love
mm,
that. So I think for me personally, I'm literally beginning to really see the power of AI, but from a co-creation perspective. So I'm still the I'm still a creator here. I'm still in the driving seat, but it's
mm,
really enabling me in a very different way. So I love that, and I love how you sort of helping us really think about sort of especially generative AI in helping us to co-create solutions and helping us to
mm.
really shape solutions a lot faster and making them a lot more insightful and powerful, right?
Mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, some of the things, that I was truly thinking about, because again, I want to just highlight again, if you didn't listen to the last show, just some, and maybe it was not the last show, but it was one of them, and I speak about this in my masterclass. So let's just reiterate the pace at which AI is moving, and I do want to tie it back to coming back to what this means for in the context of, we talk about the rumblings of the modern day mystic and the
Yeah.
continuation of tying that back into that conversation. So just to summarize, AI currently has an IQ of 155. I mentioned this before, and that is the IQ of Elon Musk. And we see what Elon Musk is the most intelligent human on the planet. We see just what he's up to and what he is capable of initiating. At that level of IQ, let's just really internalize that for a minute. And regardless of what you think about Elon Musk as a person, let's just really think about the creative intelligence of Elon Musk, the imaginative intelligence. So there, for me, what starts to emerge is this concept of imaginative creation. And I'm going to make a distinction between imaginative creation and the concept of, let's say, more reactive creation. And I have to be honest, I feel like even I've been in reactive creation, and thanks to one of the mentors I'm working with at the moment, Peter Crone, who speaks about reactive creation, but the imaginative, and he uses another word for imaginative creativity, but I'm just thinking of Elon Musk. The level of imagination that is embodied in that level of IQ. Albert Einstein had an IQ of, I think it was 162, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 165, 162. The imaginative creativity that is housed within that channel, if at the end of the day, these guys are channels, because they would be picking up from the environment or from life or from source, whatever you want to call it, divinity, and downloading these imaginative ideas, and then the brain is translating these imaginative ideas into some form of creation, right? And then
Sure.
taking it into a whole new level, and then
Mm.
bringing that into fruition. So if Elon Musk and his IQ is 155, and we see what this sort of imaginative creativity, and then the follow through on bringing that forward. But again, it's the brain with the intelligence to be able to translate the imagination into the creation, and the endless possibility then that we are witnessing in our lifetime based on that, right? And
Yeah.
anything that has been created from humans. So even, Neil Armstrong going to the moon, that is imaginative creativity. It didn't exist. We've seen it in our lifetime, so we can see what is possible. So that is what we are capable of imagining up. Now, if you start to think about that, and we know that AI is going to literally double, the current IQ of AI sits at, I think it's 155, and it will literally double every 5 to 6 months. And we expect then at the end of, let's say by this time next year, we'll be sitting at about an IQ of 350 for AI. That is the intelligence of the human race. We're not just talking like one human. In 2025, the intelligence, and this is what's predicted. So this can all change in a heartbeat. By the end of 2025, the IQ of AI will be 1,000. We simply cannot even comprehend. It's double Elon Musk up at 350. What is he doing at 350 IQ? We have an intelligence. We're probably about maybe 20 or 30 points off. So it's not like, you know, that's where most humans are. So it's not like we're vastly off. But
Yeah.
let's think. I mean, I can't even think of 1,000 IQ. Like I can't even think of it. That's sitting in AI. That's sitting in a computer. That's sitting in front of us. We're going to be able to tap into that. So now that's in 2025, and that's why I say, like a wildfire that catches fire and dismantles and sort of just takes out what we know. 2025 is the end of next year. So I don't know if any of you have thought this year's gone kind of fast. I kind of feel this year's
Yeah.
gone kind of fast. 2025 is like, it's just over there. So that's why I say we simply cannot be sitting and not paying attention and very deliberate intention about what is now unfolding in the world during this time. And what I find interesting, if I just now and I will tie it back then to what for me why it becomes so important to do the inner work. I find it curious that Elon Musk is standing on the stage with Trump. Not curious, it doesn't surprise me, but I kind of wonder, where is this
Can't wait
going?
to hear. Sorry, I just have to
Elon,
jump in there. I can't wait to hear how you want to say about that. I saw that too.
yeah, I mean, they're
Uh,
masterful in terms of strategy. That's
yeah,
masterful strategy.
yeah,
And but Elon Musk, I appreciate his intelligence, but his articulation on stage is quite interesting. However, he's entered the world of politics. You know, it's curious to me, let's say Trump wins, but it's curious to me what's been promised and then what sits in the White House and where all of this goes. Anyway, I don't have the answers, and I think that is really where we all need to be. If there's been a time to open up into the level of intelligence that is actually available to us, if ever there's been a time to dismantle the psyche and what the psyche has created, and we've spoken about your cupboards, we've spoken about the lenses, because the psyche and the human brain is very constricted. The psyche of the average human being is very contained in its way it wants to think and the box it wants to think in. And we might dip out of the box every now and again. And this is why I bring this conversation back into the foray of like, there is never a more important time for you to be dismantling the constraints, the prisons, the mental constructs that you think are keeping you safe. I'll say that again, that you think are keeping you safe. Safety right now is the most unsafe thing you can be doing. Safety right now is the thing you're wanting to fundamentally start moving away from and finding a way to come out of your safety structural zones, because I can assure you from where I'm sitting and what I'm seeing, there is no safety in playing it safe. There is no safety in playing it safe. Marilise, what do you have to say?
yeah, that's so super, and I think that's for me in my world, and I think if we think just kind of digital safety for a moment, I think what we see in terms of obviously AI as a technology, it's still in our hands, and the power that what we do with it, in terms of recognizing, as you say, the inner work and the importance of the inner work and the importance of recognizing that, we are the powerful engine behind it. Like the technology is just a tool, right? And I love how you've presenced that with us, in the sense of, how are we as human beings embracing that sort of emerging, but very, very fast paced emerging. Like, we talk about emerging technologies for years now, but I mean, this is like quantum leaps, right, in terms of emergence. And I think that for me is what's, and I don't want this to be scaremongering. I'm always like, in the cybersecurity space, I'm always like very careful not to scaremonger, because it's such an easy conversation to go down this, what about the bad guys? What if this gets into the hands of the bad guys? And how do we actually you know, prevent and protect. And it's like very like, you know, if you just use those words like preventing, protecting is very negative energy as well. So it's like even that is pulling us down. So it's like vibrationally, if we think about, you know, what is our capability and how do we actually utilize it to our benefit, and it's about contribution, it's about creation, it's about creativity, you know, it's all those like if you just think about how those words make you feel, like in the energetic vibration of those words, you know, sort of that's where as mystics, you know, we make the connection to spirituality and sort of energy, and everything is energy, right? And the power that is us. And so I want to really just reiterate with people that this is about, you know, really not about resisting, but this is about embracing and about welcoming and about learning. So this is about constant learning, constant growing, constant evolution, and being comfortable stepping into that unknown, comfortable being uncomfortable, comfortable being super afraid. And I think so I love what you're saying about dismantling the psyche and what we've created traditionally. It's almost like let's kind of just throw that all out and rethink this whole thing and think about, okay, so what does this actually look like going forwards? And I think this is probably where in this conversation, what we can explore as, you know, the mystics and the musings in this conversation is really about what does this look like? You know, how do we enable and empower ourselves? And so embracing it, stepping into the unknown, and really going on this journey with us, right? So I love that. I really love that. I really love what we've opened today, you know, and
Yes.
the sense of it's been coming. I've been feeling it's coming, you know, in terms of, you know, we've got to have this conversation. And also it's about that. We talked a little bit about last week about this sort of physical embodiment, you know, and I'm particularly on a very interesting journey myself, because I'm looking at the sort of the physical embodiment in terms of dealing with my healing very, very deep inside, like dealing with trauma, inner healing through my physical exercise. So I mentioned last week that I'll say more about this. I'll just briefly say more, but about Katie, my trainer, much more than just a trainer, but formally, you know, personal training me, and also my yoga teacher. And she really is, you know, helping me with understanding that, you know, my body and my brain really sits here in my gut. I'm sort of saying gut just kind of to make it like but the organ here, you know, the whole like, you know, that's why we talk about gut instinct, because it's about really tapping into that and making that connection. But, you know, we've really become so disconnected. It's even hard for us just to contract our bellies, you know. And so even just learning how to do that properly for me is really traumatizing. And it's that's what I mean with she's training me into chaos, because going really deep into my body, like I suddenly starts hyperventilating. I can't breathe, you know, and it's like, okay, this is kind of the connection happening, but we've so disconnected ourselves, you know, we don't want to actually feel things anymore. And so what you're describing, Sean, from a sort of like last 2 weeks or few weeks and feeling really tired and feeling really like, I think it's all about really, really just going so deep inside yourself and going places which was too hard to go before, and really, really layer by layer working through it and dissolving it. I think it's the dissolving of it. And so even though all this conversation has been about AI and the technology and the future, I think if we just come back into our bodies and recognize, you know, how much we have inside ourselves, and, you know, how much, you know, actually, you know what, we have the best operating system, million-year-old operating system inside our heads and our hearts and our bellies. And I think that's really important, because I really, you know, really want to remind us, all of us, of how incredibly powerful we are.
Absolutely. So beautifully said, and such an important piece of the journey going forward is how we truly start to heal the separation journey from the divine nature of ourselves. And I think it's Greg Braden who's got a beautiful definition of divinity, because sometimes we think divinity is outside of us, and his definition of divinity, something like this, is along the lines of divinity is truly the ability of the human being to overcome their own limitations. That is what divinity is. And I think that's a
Yes.
beautiful,
Love
simple way to embody divinity that doesn't make it any way kind of, conflictual for people. And at the same time allows us to say, okay, when we are having these conversations, we are all the intelligence that we need. We are all the wisdom that we need. We are all the intelligence that we need during this time. We are here because we chose to be here at this time. There is nothing that we cannot emerge into. The ask and the call is that we emerge into a new human race, a new version of ourselves. It's time, but it is going to be a process of continuing to emerge into remembering who we are, not discovering who we are, simply just remembering who we are. So,
yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I've just done a masterclass for the Cyber Power Girls, and the title of the masterclass is "Believe You Are Your Own Superpower." And I use the line King to talk them through the hero's journey, and that point where Simba come to like the approach to the inmost cave, where he has to be reminded by his dad Mufasa, Simba, remember who you are. And that's kind of the pivotal journey, the pivotal turning point for him in terms of going back to the Pride Lands and saving the Pride Lands. And, I think that's such a beautiful story to remind us, of the hero's journey and how important it is to find that inner strength and that belief that you are your own superpower. That's kind of the words that I use with these young girls, not necessarily the words we want to use. Context is so important, but I think it was a nice way to help them really believe in the possible and, believe in the fact that they have a choice. So I think that's super cool.
Gorgeous.
Can't believe we ran out of time once again.
Once again, we can always great to chat with you.
It's so good, and it's so super important conversation. And I think, we really want to, I think, use the next few weeks, have a bit of a series about more the practicalities. I think we've called out today that, the world is moving forwards at a ridiculously fast pace. There are quantum leaps happening. I mean, it's scary to think that AI is going to have an IQ of 350 1,000 by 2025. That's just beyond belief. That blows my brain. So we're really encouraging, come on this journey with us, learn with us, figure it out with us, because we don't want anyone to be left behind. This is our time.
So beautiful.
So
Thank you.
Sean, thank you for all your wisdom,
and you, Marlies. Gorgeous.
Love this conversation, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.
Beautiful. Bye, everyone.
Take care.